Welcome, everybody, to the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. Back less than 12 hours after we went live last night after another exciting Guardians win. We spent about 45 minutes on the Guardians last night. I got a few more minutes this morning because we saw what now we know what the Astros did last night. So I'm going to get into that, and then Kay Cabot will join me with her biweekly appearance. And we'll talk about the Browns going forward to this weekend against Detroit. But first, back to the Guardians. When I last left you last night, the Astros and the Athletics were scoreless. The Astros, like the Tigers, not quite as bad as the Tigers, but the Astros have been playing bad baseball. Well, it continued last night. The Astros lost yet again to the Athletics. 6-0 was the final there. So, by the time the Guardians play this evening, they may have a chance to clinch a playoff spot. If the Astros, who play this afternoon, the Astros are playing the final game of that series with the Athletics. It's at 3:35 Eastern. Framber Valdez and JT Ginn in that one. Keep an eye on that game this afternoon. If the Athletics beat the Astros this afternoon, and the Guardians win tonight, the Guardians will clinch a playoff spot, and here's why. Because there'll be 3 games left, and they will be 3 games ahead of the Astros for the final wild card spot. The Guardians have the tiebreaker with the Astros, and thus, even if the Guardians somehow lost their last 3 and the Astros won their last 3, they would finish tied, and the Guardians would have the tiebreaker, and they'd be in the playoffs. Now, bigger things afoot here, because if the Guardians beat the Tigers again today, which they will, I'm very confident in that, they'll also have a magic number of 1 to win the division. So either way, no matter what happens with the Astros this afternoon, either way, if the Guardians win tonight and win just 1 more game, or the Tigers lose just 1 more game, the Guardians will win the American League Central. So hopefully they get it done today. I'm feeling very good about it today. Parker Messick will be on the hill for the Guardians in this game, which, again, could be a playoff clinching game. I don't know that the Guardians will celebrate even if the Astros lose, because you could argue they technically would still have a magic number of 1. I'm calling it 1 now. 2 now. But they may be looking at it as 3 because sometimes they don't do the celebration if it's just based on tiebreakers. I can't remember. Either way, as long as the Guardians keep taking care of business, they're going to the playoffs. There's no way we would have thought that 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, there was no chance the Guardians were going to the playoffs, and now they might. And now they're in the driver's seat, not only to make the playoffs, they're in great shape, but they're in great shape to win the division, and certainly will win the division if they win tonight's game. Like I said, Parker Messick will be on the hill for the Guardians tonight. He has been mostly excellent since being called up to the big leagues to make his debut on August the 20th. He's really only had 1 bad start, that game against the Red Sox on September 1st, where he gave 3 runs and 9 hits in 3 2/3. In his other 5 starts, he's been very good. His last start was probably his second worst start. He only went 5 1/3, gave him 5 hits and 2 runs. If that's your second worst start, that's pretty darn good. He's been pretty reliable. He had 9 strikeouts in that start. His 19 Ks in 21 innings since getting called up to the big leagues. So he has done just an absolutely magnificent job so far this year. Let me correct that. He has 31 Ks in 34 2/3 innings since getting called up to the big leagues. He's been absolutely tremendous. For the Tigers, their starter is to be determined. The Tigers, last night after the game, the Tigers manager was asked, Tigers manager A.J. Hinch asked who's the starter for tomorrow, because it's been TBD. And A.J. Hinch said, we got to sort it out, so it'll be a long night. It's been a lot. There's going to be a lot of long nights for the Tigers for this ultimate collapse. Again, they're still in decent shape to make the playoffs because they lead the Astros by a game in the standings for the final wild card, and they do have the tiebreaker It's so weird to see two teams for a playoff spot right now, the Tigers and Astros. Tigers have lost 8 in a row. The Astros have lost 5 in a row. It's just crazy in that situation, but it is what it is. And so the Guardians obviously in great shape. It's so I know I said it's crazy, but it remains crazy. As recently as a week ago, they had like an 8% chance to make the playoffs. Now, if you look at the Guardians' chances to make the playoffs, it's 96%. Just unbelievable. Let's bring in Mary Kay Cabot, who we love having on every other week from Cleveland.com. Mary Kay, I was just talking about the Guardians. I know you obviously you cover football, but you're a Clevelander. This is wild what the Guardians have done, isn't it?
It really is. It's so much fun.
Yep.
My husband is a huge, huge fan. He's part of a season ticket group,
Yeah.
and there's just never a night where the Guardians are not on in my house.
Yeah.
And then my mom, she's 93 years old. She's all in, and
Love it.
so yeah, it's pretty incredible. I can't even believe it. Every night to hear that they've won again,
Yep.
it's just almost magical what they're doing.
Yeah, 17 of their last 19, and they could clinch a playoff spot possibly today, and they could clinch division as soon as tomorrow. It's just wild. All right, let's switch it up, and let's talk about the Browns. Speaking of wild, that was a wild win. I mean, I don't know that you could play a worse offensive game than the Browns did this past week, and yet they found a way because the defense has just been sensational. I don't think you could play better defense than they have the first 3 weeks, can you?
No, you really can't. They are currently the top ranked defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed.
Yeah.
Their points, they're like fourth in points allowed or something like that. Their run defense has been absolutely amazing. And I can guarantee you that if you asked a bunch of NFL quarterbacks which defense they would not want to face right now, it would be the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett is a big part of that. Mason Graham is a huge part of that, and they have just been lights out, and they have kept this team just still relevant right now.
Yeah, and you're right. And it clearly, Miles has got to be thrilled because this is by far the best talent he's had around him. And he's been double teamed and even triple teamed for years. And there's not been enough guys that could take advantage of it on the D line. But now he's still making his plays, sure. But there's a lot of plays where he's getting double and triple teamed, and other guys are making plays. And that's just huge.
Yeah, they really are. And they're going to need that kind of performance
Yep.
against the Detroit Lions on Sunday. This is one heck of an opponent that they're playing. I've been watching some of the film of what the Lions are doing offensively and the things that they do with the creative shifts and motions and trick plays and deception. It's going to be really tough. This is going to be a real chess match between that Browns defensive line and whatever they have going on up there in Detroit.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible to watch. So yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see. Of course, they're going to have to stop the run. The
Yep.
Lions rushed for 224 yards. They've got that two-headed monster of Montgomery and Gibbs, and that's not going to be easy at all.
No, I think you're right. In a way, even though Jared Goff's not as good as Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, in a way, this Lions team might be the biggest challenge yet for this defense because the game's on turf. We know the Lions are really good at home. They're very well balanced, unlike some of these other teams they've played. The Bengals are pass heavy. The Ravens are run heavy. And, you know, they've got a lot. You mentioned the weapons at running back. They've got two great weapons led by Ross St. Brown at wide receiver. They've got a really good tight end. They've got a really good offensive line. So the Browns have obviously been tested, Browns defense, by three good offenses, really good offenses. But this could be the best, especially with them at home.
Certainly the most well-rounded, I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
So, and again, they're doing some really interesting things. And I think that what the Browns need to be ready for, even though it's a short week for the Detroit Lions, you know that they're going to have wrinkles in this game plan for the
Yep.
Cleveland Browns. So they have to try to think one step ahead of the Lions and what would they try to throw at the Cleveland Browns. And you know that they're going to have some kind of a game plan to try to take Myles Garrett out of the game, or at least minimize the damage that he can do, because that's what everybody does every single week. They circle Myles in red and they try to figure out how to take him kind of out of the game to the extent that they can with chipping, double teaming, and whatnot. So that's what they'll try to do. I mean, even the Packers, they tried to substitute in a way that kept Miles over there on the sideline. So
Yeah.
teams come up with everything that they possibly can to do. But as you mentioned, there are plenty of other guys now that are wreaking havoc in their own right, including Graham, including some of the other edge rushers, and just every level of the defense, I think, is contributing in a big way right now.
Mary Kay, I look at Carson Schlesinger and what he's doing, and I'm like, how did this guy not get a scholarship out of high school? I know guys develop late, but it's crazy to think about that, isn't it?
It really is, and he's very, very fun to watch. He's
Yeah.
so smart, he's so rangy, he's got such a nose for the ball. He just is a natural football player, and, sometimes those guys fall through the cracks,
Yeah.
and it's about time the Browns kind of hit on some of those guys, instead of missing on draft picks. So, this
Yeah.
looks to be a really good draft for them. I remember that Jimmy Haslam said, I think it was at the owners' meetings, where he basically said, Andrew has to nail this draft. He kind of threw down the gauntlet. And Andrew Berry sure did nail this draft with that trade.
Yeah.
It looks right now like the Browns are winning that trade. Quinshawn Judkins, my goodness, I
Mm.
was watching him just even practice yesterday for the first 15, 20 minutes that we're allowed to be out there. Just the way he moves, the power, the explosion, and his thighs are enormous. This is a big human being. I
Yeah.
mean, he is a big, powerful back.
Yeah, no, he's looked great. Obviously, Harold Fannon's looked great through the first 3 weeks. You're right. I mean, Andrew Berry has had a spotty track record in the draft at best. But the first 4 picks in this draft, it's early. Obviously, they got a lot more to prove. But so far, the first 4 picks all look like not only hits, but big hits. Speaking of big hits, Joe Flacco's taken a few big hits. The offensive line has struggled. We're constantly talking about should they go to Dylan Gabriel. They're not for now. But how much longer do you think? Like, are they? Do you think they're? I mean, could we see Dylan Gabriel in another week or two, or do you think the Browns are not that close to making that switch?
I actually think the leash is not super long right now, and
Okay.
that's because how can you keep the leash long when they went 56 minutes without scoring a point
Yeah.
against the Green Bay Packers?
Mm-hmm.
And Joe has turned the ball over a fair amount now in the Packers game. It was only a Hail Mary that he threw that interception on, so we don't need to count that. But he's not making those big explosive plays this season, in part because I think they've got him playing a conservative brand of football. So you're not seeing the gunslinging Joe that's just going to whip it downfield and hope for the best. He also needs to develop some chemistry with Jerry Judy. Those two guys haven't found their rhythm together yet.
Yeah.
That's in part because they didn't have enough time on task in preseason, in the offseason, in training camp. They just weren't repping it over and over and over together to the point where you can get that on field chemistry naturally. So we're all still waiting to see when that's going to come, and they need it. You need your
Yeah.
number one receiver to be out there putting up a bunch of yards and hopefully even getting into the end zone. So there are some guys he needs to connect with. David Njoku, they need to see more out of him. They need to see more out of Jerry Judy. Harold Fannon's doing a really nice job, but they need to spread it around a little bit more, and they need to make some more of those big plays. The Detroit Lions have scored 90 points in the last 2 weeks. And
Yeah.
the Cleveland Browns right now are averaging 15.3 points per game. That is not going to cut it when you're going up against a team that has suddenly found its explosiveness.
Yeah, and I know you wrote about getting back to what you said about Flacco and Judy. I know you wrote about that yesterday, and so everybody check that out at cleveland.com, of course. Do you think the Browns kind of screwed up the way they prepared for the season by not getting Joe more reps?
I think that they probably learned a lesson that you
Mm,
need to go into training camp knowing who your starting quarterback is. You really need to know who your starting quarterback is. You can't divide the quarterback reps up 4 ways
yeah,
and think that your offense is going to be a well-oiled machine by the time you get to week 1. So I know they had to do what they felt they had to do, but in retrospect, and it's easy, of course, to look back and say that they made a mistake, but I was concerned about it all the way through and
yeah,
expressed those concerns. So I think, you kind of had to know. But the truth of the matter is, I think they felt like they would start the season with Kenny Pickett and then move into Dylan Gabriel. I think that was the plan, and then they had to pivot.
yeah.
So yeah, if you had it to do all over again, I think you would not divide that pie up 4 ways.
How concerned are you about the tackle situation, the offensive tackle situation right now?
I think it's a concern. It is a
Yeah.
concern because Jack Conklin, he's missed the last 2 games with his elbow injury. He was limited again yesterday. These guys on the offensive line, they're warriors. They go out there and they play so hurt. We see Joel Batonio going out there where he can barely get in and out of his car this week, and he's receiving a lot of praise for what he did and also a game ball. But now DeJuan Jones out for the season, and it's not like he was just lighting it up over there. He was finding his way at left tackle, but now they really have to try to fill that gaping hole over there on the fly and see if they can't get Joe protected. And you're going to try to do that against the likes of Aiden Hutchinson and Muhammad, who has really come on strong for the Detroit Lions. So it is a concern, especially when you have a 40-year-old quarterback who is not mobile.
Mary Kay, I lost my mind about Andre Schmidt in the first week, just like a lot of people did. But I'm happy he's shut me and others up because it makes the extra point to tie the game, of course, and then that kick that was a beautiful kick. So I know he's been through a lot, obviously, this summer. Good for him, right? He's got to be feeling great right now.
Yeah, good for him, and I was
Yeah.
in that camp too where I didn't know if you should go into your 2nd game with a shaky kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
Having missed a 33 and a 36, I did have major concerns about that. But they knew what they were doing. They stuck with it. They stuck behind him. They have supported him through. We didn't even know that he was really going through that. So
Right.
the loss of his mom in July, 10 days before he had to report for camp. So
Yeah.
they probably gave him the benefit of the doubt in that game to work through his emotions and to get to the point where he is now. So special teams player of the week, good for him, and hopefully he can keep it up.
I know it's not till next week, but obviously the Browns are going to England next week. Is there anything besides football you're excited to do when you go to England?
Well, I love London. I
Yeah.
absolutely love London. So if I can get to a show, I'll
Oh,
go see a show. Avita is playing there, and then there
nice.
are certain other things I would like to do like that. I've been to London a couple of times.
Yeah.
I have done the double decker bus tour and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, there are probably some other things I would like to do, some historical tours and things like that. So if I get a chance to get out a little bit, I'll do that.
Is there a restaurant, is there a go-to place for you in London that you go to eat?
No, I don't have a place like that,
No.
but I'll always be open to new and different things, and, it's gonna be really fun. I mean, London is absolutely, of course, as you know and everyone knows, it's amazing,
Mm,
and the games over there are really, really fun. The fans get so excited and
yeah.
so into it, almost like they do the soccer matches, and, so it's gonna be great fun.
Mary Kay, awesome stuff. Have a great trip to England next week. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Sounds great.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
You got it. Mary Kay Cabot. Always a pleasure having her on. She's the best. And I'm excited about the Browns going to England, and let's see what they can do against Detroit this week. Listen, they're a big underdog. I'm not expecting them to win. I wasn't expecting them to win last week. But if they play defense the way they have so far this year, they're going to have a chance to win more games than we thought. It's not a playoff team with the current offense. You just can't. No matter how good the defense is, you can't overcome an offense that is this bad. It's a shame because it's a playoff caliber defense without a doubt. Um, the hits of, or would appear to be at this point, Schlesinger and Graham hits, and the improved play of Greg Newsome. The Browns defense is legit, but it'd be interesting to see this week. I really think this Lions offense could be the toughest test yet for the Browns. So I'm fascinated to see what happens. I would stay away from this game in terms of the point spread. I think the line is deservedly high, and the Lions' offense are playing great, but I certainly wouldn't take the Browns with the points, but I don't know that I'd lay the 10 with the Lions either. So this game for me is a stay away. All right, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks to Mary Kay Cabot for joining me. Thanks to all of you for joining me. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Sorry I didn't get to the chats this week, but I will be back on yet again tonight following Guardians, Tigers, final game of the series. Can the Guardians take full control of the division and potentially clinch a playoff spot tonight? Join me immediately, few minutes after the game, Guardians-Tigers. I'll be with you again live, and we'll have a great time again, just like we have the last 2 nights, and I so appreciate everybody joining me. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. So if you do that, that would be great. I want to let you know also that players who place who place a qualifying same game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL and NCAA football games will receive one standard entry into the weekly squares game that we have at Bet Rivers. Winning standard squares will be awarded a prize of a $20 bonus bet. See the app and website for more details. And players who log into the Bet Rivers app or betrivers.com account this Saturday will receive 2 second chance tokens, one for parlay token for any 3+ leg NFL parlay, final parlayed odds of plus 100, one same game parlay token for any NFL same game parlay, final odds plus 100. So check it out. There's a lot of cool things on the Bet Rivers app and betrivers.com. And I hope to see you there. Thanks, everybody, for joining me as always. Thanks to Z and Max for producing the show today. And again, I'll be back on tonight after Guardians-Tigers. And then on Sunday, we're going to do the next time I'll be on. I won't be on after the Guardians games Friday or Saturday. But what I'm doing on Sunday, instead of coming on right after the Browns game, the Browns play it at 1. The Guardians will play at 3. They may have clinched before that. Hopefully they have. Either way, I'll be doing a special 8 p.m. show, Sunday night, 8 p.m. live show where we recap the Browns-Lions and the end of the regular season for the Guardians. Until then, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Bet Rivers, and thanks for joining me in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. I'll see you later.